Hey guys, Dr. Luke String from Advanced Health Chiropractic, and a really common question we see and hear all the time in the office is, why does my low back pain get worse with activity? And it's a great question, and as we discussed in some previous videos, when you evaluate the spine for low back pain, you have to evaluate it for its structure, the integrity of the disc, and integrity of the soft tissue. That's what I want to talk to you about today. So essentially, when you evaluate a spine that has good alignment and good joint function, all the tissues that anchor within the joint to stabilize and move it work within normal limits, and we can function without any pain or problems. And as we previously discussed, when we have shifts in the spine or we start seeing issues in the disc through degeneration, it can obviously lead to pain and problems. But the thing that we haven't discussed is how our environment and the repetition of our environment creates compensatory patterns. On a mechanical, biomechanical and a physiological level, we are built to move. We're all hunter-gatherers from the get-go, right? So the sedentary lifestyle that we're now living, the average American has to sit for more than 14 hours a day, essentially creates weakness within the tissue in our bodies. So when you evaluate a healthy spine and someone who's moving without low back pain, I can guarantee you that their pelvic floor, essentially the core that sits between your pelvis, that when we move acts like a sling and stabilizes your low back and your pelvis, and then the posterior, the back of his chain, which is made up of the hamstrings, the glutes, and the muscles within our low back, are nice and stable. However, when we sit for a living, everything we do is in front of us. So when we shift in front of us, muscles start to dominate, particularly this big muscle called our psoas, the hip flexors that anchor your essentially pelvis into your extremities. And then a lot of your abs become really dominant. And what happens is your posterior chain, particularly your hamstrings, your glutes, and your pelvic floor become redundant. So when you go to move, you have no activation and stabilization from the posterior, the back of you. Your hamstrings aren't firing, your glutes aren't firing. So what happens is all the tissue in your low back, these lumbar paraspinals, these big muscles that erect and stabilize your spine, have to work too hard. And obviously when you're working too hard, over time that compensation breaks us down. How does it specifically break us down? It starts to break down the tissue within the low back. So when you evaluate healthy tissue under a microscope, so that's tissue that's a spine in good alignment, the joints are moving, the tissue's healthy, it should look really structured and uniform. That supports and stabilizes you through movement. However, when we have those compensatory patterns, and the muscles are loaded poorly from poor spine or poor spinal alignment or poor joint function or a combination of the both, and the tissue works too hard, it gets beaten up and it breaks down. So the body knows how to heal, and when it heals, it does so with something called adhesion. Adhesion is scar tissue, it's weak, it's inflexible. So this now forms a support system that supports your low back when you're moving. So when you go for a run, the first mile might feel okay, but mile 2 or mile 3, this tissue essentially can't handle the load that's being placed into it. It starts getting stiff, it starts getting tight, it starts getting sore, and you start to break down. So if you're suffering with low back pain, you have to evaluate the curvature within your spine, you have to evaluate the structure and the integrity of the soft tissue, is it firing and supporting your low back and your pelvis, and you have to address the joint function and the health within the soft tissue. And luckily at Advanced Health Chiropractic we do all three. So if you're suffering from low back pain, co-worker, family member, friend you know that can't do the activity they love to do, click the button below, fill out the contact form. We'll be in touch really shortly to get you set up for a consultation so we can pinpoint your issue and go over some steps to get this low back pain corrected for you.